One Piece chapter 1169. It's now also officially out, and yeah, I released my review of it, and now I'm here to address the elephant, or should I rather say the giant massive hammer in the room, which somehow I completely missed behind the chest. Ragnir was in the room with the devil fruit behind the chest in which the treasure of Elbaf is, presumably. And somehow I completely missed Ragnir being there. I was like, okay, maybe Harald threw the hammer. He got Ragnir because he said he would get Ragnir through the hammer. And even while reading the chapter, I was like, where's this hammer coming from? This makes no sense. Harald was just another panel fighting Gaban and Shanks. How would he have gotten the hammer, caught up and threw it at Loki? This makes no sense. Where's it coming from? And was like, okay, I guess, I don't know, but I completely missed that the hammer was just in the room the entire time and there was no one there that threw the hammer. Ragnir moved on its own. Now, that's something. So Ragnir is at least to some capacity sentient, can move on its own behalf. And now there's several ways this could end up turning out. Like from all the way of just, Ragnir has a devil fruit. Ragnir has an ancient zone model Odin, model Thor. He is the god of thunder, Ragnir. Very clear possibility. It's like all the parallels of Ragnir being like used by Loki to shoot lightning. Like, we don't know, is that a power that Loki has? Is that a power that Ragnir has? Like, even in the first, when that came out, people were already discussing it. Like, maybe Ragnir has certain powers. Then, okay, so maybe a mythical devil fruit. So the other thing I said, like, yeah, maybe Ragnir smashes the chest and actually gains the mythical power of the treasure of Elbaf. I think I'm gonna go back on that completely. I think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. I think Loki eats the fruit. Loki will eat the treasure fruit of Elbaf and he will get the devil fruit power. What is it? We don't know it. I'm gonna maybe go on to speculating that at some other point. Now we are here to talk about Ragnir. Okay. What other possibilities are there? Okay. Straight up magic. Yes. Ragnir is a straight up magical artifact from the beginning of time. He was forged in the thrones of Elbaf at the very beginning of Elbaf, like 5,000 years ago, in the fire of the hell flame serpent. Ragnir is something else. Yeah, it could just be straight up magic. Like, Oda could go with this however he wants. Okay, what is the next thing to magic? Technology. There's a saying that at a certain point of technology, for like, at least for primitive people, technology would be indiscernible from magic. Me having like this tiny square here on a stick in the middle of the forest to record me, and then I can go back and transfer it onto another square and yeah, make these videos out of. For people of the older days, that would be straight up magic. Like, what is this? Why are you in the square now? It is magical. Okay, so the hammer could just be, which is like a giant metal square, could be like there could be a bunch of technology inside, allowing it to shoot lightning and do other stuff. Like, we have a giant robot in the story. Why not we have like ancient weapons that shoot laser beams from the sky? We have Frankie as a cyborg who shoots lasers, has technology. Fucking just came from an arc with Vegapunk with a bunch of hologram technology and other technologies. Like, it is definitely in the realm of possibilities that Ragnir is an old weapon, but not magical, but technological weapon. Because the second age, according to Vegapunk, was highly advanced, and maybe even before that, people were highly advanced before the point where they are right now in One Piece. So they had so much advanced technology, but yeah, the world government, I guess, went out and got rid of all the technology, or most of the technology. And Vegapunk is like getting the scraps and trying to figure out some stuff, and it's like, he himself says that, like, most of my research is not even like me inventing stuff. It's me going back, looking at their technology and trying to figure it out and replicate it. So what is there to say that there couldn't be like a really strong weapon from back then that slipped through the grasp of the world government? I mean, in a country like Elbaf, where they clearly didn't have access to Elbaf before. Before Harold came in and screwed that kind of up for them a little bit, or almost screwed it up. I guess Loki's gonna redeem it. Yeah, very possible. Could be technology. Then there's one more thing that came to mind for me. Besides devil fruit, besides magic, besides technology, there's something we already have in the stories where weapons are said to be sentient, have their own will, and do something that Ragnir is doing in this very panel. Ragnir, on its own, moved and attacked Loki. Does Ragnir want to kill Loki? We don't know. Is it just Ragnir testing Loki? Is Ragnir just doing this to anyone that enters the room? It's like, okay, if someone enters this room, I'm gonna attack them. And that's why Ragnir is locked in there. Like, people can't be near Ragnir because this hammer is so uncontrollable. And what is this concept we already have in One Piece? Cursed weapons. The cursed weapons are said to be weapons that are sentient in a way. Like, they're not talking, they're not acting. And Zoro has a cursed sword, as you might know. But these cursed weapons, they're constantly trying to draw blood, and are set to eventually draw blood of their own holder if the holder is not strong enough, doesn't have a strong enough will, or isn't powerful enough, like Zoro is, for example. That's why in Lockdown, was it? The shopkeeper was so impressed with Zoro, like pulling this sword off the barrel and picking it out from all the other weapons. Not because he's just like, oh, this is a very sharp sword. No, because there was more to the sword. And yeah, after he saw that, he was like, I want to give you my best weapon I have for free. Like, I want a swordman like you to carry this weapon, man. So there is already weapons that have their own will, that do things like that. Do they move on their own, like, entirely? Not really. There's no precedence for a cursed weapon moving on their own. We have Zoro argue with Enma being like, hey, give it back, give me my haki back. Fucking hell. Stop sucking out of my haki out of my body. Like, he is arguing with the weapon, basically, and like trying to imbue his will on them and overpower their will of the weapon. So the weapons have their own will, but we don't really have a weapon move on their own per se. But maybe Ragnir is just a very powerful cursed weapon to a point where Ragnir can move on its own. Maybe Ragnir is so old, so ancient, imbued with so much different people's haki over the generations, that it has become kind of uncontrollable. And that would be very interesting. Like the reason why Ragnir is locked up here and why Harald isn't wielding Ragnir, which in the last chapter is like to Jarl, while he's ramming the mighty sword through Jarl's head, he's like, I must return your sword and take up Ragnir. So in this chapter he's like, I must take up Ragnir. So why isn't he wielding Ragnir already? Maybe he can't. Maybe he can't control Ragnir. Maybe if he was to wield Ragnir, Ragnir would smash like anyone in its path without even Harald having any say about it. And maybe, and that's why I find it very interesting, maybe Loki is capable of wielding Ragnir. It's kind of the also similarity to Thor and his hammer. And thing, at least in the Marvel universe, where it's like, oh, you must be worthy to wield the hammer, otherwise you can't even lift it. You can't even move it at all. And Loki and the hammer are on one wavelength, and he's able to wield it, which might also be the reason why they tied Loki to the tree, put him in chains, but they put him in chains with the hammer. Why did they put him in chains with his weapon on his back still? A good explanation would be they couldn't take the weapon from him. It's literally impossible from them, because Ragnir is still sentient. Ragnir wouldn't let that happen. If you try to took the hammer from Loki, the hammer would fucking hit you in the head on its own. And on the other point, while Ragnir is with Loki, he's not dangerous. Loki might be this strong, this powerful of a will haver, that he can control Ragnir. So maybe Ragnir has a devil fruit, maybe he's just a very strong cursed weapon, maybe it's magic. What do I know? But a very interesting thing to discuss for sure. Alright. To the second part of the video, my prediction. I have one thing that I think I want to predict for the next chapter, and it is all about Loki. Okay, so I do think Loki will eat the devil fruit. That's not my prediction. I think that much is clear. Loki might have to tussle a bit with Ragnir. Also not that much of a prediction, I think that much is clear. And I think Loki wields Ragnir when he kills Harald. So what my prediction actually is about is what happens after. What happens after Loki kills Harald, using the powers of the devil fruit and Ragnir, killing his own father. Because what the country of Elbaf knows is that Loki killed all the guards, went basically crazy apeshit, stole the devil fruit, stole Ragnir, killed his own father, killed all the guards in the castle, and then made off. And later Shanks came and brought him back in, like he captured him. They brought him to the tree and put him in chains there to basically starve, die, rot. I don't know what their plan was there really. But basically, yeah, he is a criminal as them. But in the last chapter, Harald told Loki to tell everyone what happened, that he was a fool, that he betrayed the country, that all he did was for naught, that he was a bloody stupid fool, which he was. And which basically betrayed his country and had to be killed, and that Loki becomes a hero. And before the last chapter, I might have thought like, yeah, people don't like Loki, they don't trust Loki. He's the accursed son of the king with these weird eyes, these snake-like weird eyes. Like, people are afraid of Loki. He was in prison before. He burned down an entire village because they poisoned Ida and killed them. So they already got in their head, like, Loki is a villain. He's not a good one. Even in this chapter we have some guards being like, hey, let's run through the throne room. There's like a commotion there. Maybe Loki is doing something. They immediately went to that. So before this chapter I would have said it's perfectly plausible for them to like just accuse Loki without any reason. And Jarl has this giant sword to his head, so maybe he doesn't remember everything. But what we saw in last chapter very much goes against that, and we have at least 3 people that are in the know about what actually happened. One is Jarl. So okay, maybe he knew and he was still fine, talking perfectly normally and telling Shanks and Gaban what was going on, that they have to help Loki. So he still knew everything in this chapter. Maybe that still happens later, that he forgets, but I don't think so. Because then we have 2 more people in the know about this. Shanks and Gaban. So after everything, and Harald killed all the guards inside of the castle, even like, we see him trample a guard's head with his foot, stomping into a mush here in this chapter, and being like, I'm gonna kill everyone inside here so the truth doesn't come out. So yeah, the guards are all dead. They can't tell anyone, but we have 3 people that make it out alive, we know of, that know the truth and could have told everyone. So why didn't they? And this is my prediction. They didn't tell everyone the truth because Loki asked them not to. I think Loki, being overcome with emotions after killing his father, he's going to go against the will of his father. He's not gonna become a hero. Like, that's not who Loki is. His entire life he's playing this rough and tough bad guy. Like this, he's like, even as a kid, like kids do this. Like, he's playing a character, but he played this character his entire life, and that basically became his character, but it's not who he really is. And we saw this with Ida, where he called her a foreign hag to her face, but he brought her meat and he helped her with her bar, and really, like, his mouth is saying one thing, but really he's feeling some other thing. Like, Ida for him was his mother. He loved Ida. And that's why he killed those people in that village and burned the fucking village to the ground after he found out they poisoned her. Like, Loki is not a bad guy. Loki is a good guy pretending to be a bad guy. So this very much fits in the character of Loki. Him being the good guy that's pretending to be the bad guy. That's who Loki is. So it makes sense to me that Loki would ask Skopper, Shanks and Jarl, guys, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna leave Elbaf. You need to tell everyone that I killed everyone here in the castle, that it was me who did this. I stole the devil fruit, I ate the devil fruit, I killed my father. Don't tell anyone about Harold being possessed or ordered by Emu. Don't tell anyone about that. Don't tarnish the reputation of my father. I want him to be remembered as a great king. And I want the kids of Elbaf to be able to learn in the school he built and have a different future and different upbringing than I had. I want them to have a different future. I want Harold's vision to come true. Not his vision for like joining the world government, but his vision of changing Elbaf for the better. Like, telling the people that Harold was a bad guy would make like them reactively probably go against everything, all the changes Harold did. It would make them go against everything he stood for. And these things, while Harald was a fool and an idiot for trusting the world government and for going into a deep sea covenant contract with Emu, he was very much an idiot and a fool for that. But his ideas for the country weren't all bad. Like, he wanted a brighter future for Elbaf. And telling everyone that Harald was this bad guy would basically destroy all that. So I think that's why Loki is gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna be the villain here. You tell everyone I was the villain. I did all these things. I killed all these guards. It wasn't Harald, it was me. Tell them that. I very much think we're gonna have a Loki in tears begging Shanks, Jarl and Gaban to tell everyone that. I very much don't think it's just that people hate Loki and they make up demand about it. I think that's part of it. But if Shanks, Gaban and Jarl were to come out and be like, no, this is not what happened, and were to explain it to the people, how it actually happened, then they would have to believe them. They would be like, okay, I see. We're sorry, Loki. We're sorry this happened to you. But that's not what happened. Loki became the villain. And I think he became the villain for his father. Like, for the future his father wanted for the country. To make that possible, Loki had to become the villain. And he put this burden on himself and left Elbaf. Up until a further later point where Shanks brought him back. Okay, if Shanks knows Loki is not the villain, Gaban knows Loki is not a villain, so why did Shanks take Loki in and bring him back? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't really know why Shanks had to bring Loki back to the country and why they changed him to a tree. Something must have happened. There must be a reason for Loki having to be returned to Elbaf. Might be to do with like the villain story they came up with, like Loki being the villain, and maybe they just came up in a situation where it was like Shanks either had to reveal that Loki wasn't the villain or had to bring him in, and Loki was like, yeah, come take me in, it's all right. Take me in, I can take it. Yeah, good question. But yeah, that's basically my prediction for the next chapter. I think Loki is gonna be asking everyone to make him the villain. Loki is very much a character that's like, yeah, I've been playing the villain all my life, man. I'm made for this. This is my role. I'm gonna destroy the world. Look at me, I'm so evil. And then Luffy looks at Loki and is like, you know, I've haki, you know. You know, I know you're lying. You're not a bad guy. Luffy saw through Loki in like a second and was like, yeah, I'm gonna free you. You're not a bad guy. Which takes me back to like a scene where Luffy was training with Rayleigh, his haki, and where he was doing his, not future sight, but observation haki training. So Luffy was blindfolded, couldn't see a thing, and Rayleigh was suppressing his haki, his presence, so Luffy couldn't sense him anymore and was hitting him over the head with a stick over and over until Luffy finally managed to dodge him. And Luffy managed to dodge him, and what Luffy said, it's like, I couldn't sense your presence anymore, but I could sense your smile. So Luffy has a very good grasp on people's emotions and who people really are. So him having one look at Loki and going like, yeah, this is a good guy, I'm gonna free this guy. He's chained up for no reason here, I know that. Luffy knew this in one moment. And people say Luffy is dumb. Like, okay, maybe he is dumb in a way, but he is very smart in different ways, man. He is The smartest dumb character ever created. I'm gonna say that. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Maybe it's not gonna be this year anymore. Most likely won't be this year anymore. We get any more chapters. Sometimes there are still chapters in between the years, but I wouldn't count on it. Well, anyway, see you in the next one. I gotta go bike home now. Bye.